Hello everyone and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be taking a look at the BBC's first acknowledgements of the future of Doctor Who after obviously Wishworld has come out, as well as their response to that Sun article that I covered previously. I kind of forgot to cover it because there was so much other stuff going on, but we're going to cover that as well as Russell T Davies's teasers for Reality War, as well as some of the newly published images for the episode as well. But before we get into it, do me a teeny tiny little favour, click that subscribe button. We are trying to get to 30,000 subscribers and we're almost at 27,600. So we're getting there, we're making gains. Any support would be greatly appreciated. It's the Doctor Who and The Last of Us finales. What's coming up this week? So this is basically the BBC's write-up of everything going on in culture at the moment. So obviously we've got Doctor Who, The Last of Us. This week, it's the finale of the latest Doctor Who series with fans treated to an extra special length episode, but that's not all the week has in store. It's also The Last of Us finale, K-pop boy band 17 have a new album, and a new game, Elden Ring Night Reign, is being released. Read on for what's coming up this week. Whovians get ready for the grand finale. This is by Lisa Nazimba, the legendary entertainment correspondent over at the BBC, and Ncuti Gatwa's second series as the Doctor in Doctor Who reaches its climax on Saturday with episode 8, The Reality War. The previous episode, Wishworld, ended on a cliffhanger with the Doctor plunging to Earth as Wishworld tore itself apart. The finale of The Reality War clocks in at more than an hour. Fans will be desperate to find out how the Doctor survives, and whether evil Time Lady Lorani will succeed in finding the huge figure from Doctor Who's past that she's searching for deep within the Underverse. Viewers will also be keen to discover whether the episode will shed light on the future of its star, and indeed the show itself. So this is the first interesting point. Now it's worth saying that Lisa Nazimba is a BBC entertainment correspondent. He is not directly with Bad Wolf. However, he is a member of the BBC, so obviously them officially acknowledging this speculation around what's going to happen to Ncuti Gatwa in the lead role, as well as the future of the show itself, is very interesting. He continues, for months there has been media talk that Ncuti Gatwa might be leaving Doctor Who. Doctor Who is no stranger to such speculation. In the past, rumours about the sci-fi drama have ranged from being close to spot on to sheer fabrication. This is very true. As for the show itself, 6 months ago, showrunner Russell T Davies said that no decision would be made on commissioning Series 3 until after Series 2 had been broadcast. With Doctor Who being co-produced by Disney, one of the factors will be whether the BBC and the streamer decide to renew the arrangement, and what alternatives could be explored if they decide not to, and those kind of discussions take a significant amount of time. The Reality War is on BBC One and Disney Plus internationally on Saturday. So it's that last bit that's really interesting there. With Doctor Who being co-produced with Disney Plus, one of the factors will be whether the BBC and the streamer decide to renew their agreement, and what alternatives could be explored if they decide not to, and those kind of discussions take a significant amount of time. That to me reads like Lizo's guess here, and I was like, oh, I put words in his mouth. But that reads to me like he believes discussions have been going on about Doctor Who's future outside of Disney Plus. Now, whether that means another streamer, whether that means BBC going it alone, we don't know. But it's interesting to see it acknowledged in an actual official BBC article like this. I think the fact that they are straight up acknowledging that Disney could decide not to renew the deal kind of speaks for itself in some sort of way. That's not me saying that Disney definitively won't renew it. There's still a chance that they will. But I think the fact an official BBC article is actively saying, or they might decide not to, and we have to look at, what alternatives there are, kind of says to me that there's a fair chance that that is what's happening with Doctor Who. Obviously, we don't know yet for sure. We won't know till next week. But it's interesting. And it's also interesting, obviously, seeing them officially comment on the future of Gatwa in the role as well. Speaking of which, BBC slams claims Ncuti Gatwa has been axed from Doctor Who as pure fiction. So this is in response to the Sun article that I covered previously. Obviously, in the article, the Sun did say that the BBC rebuked these claims, but this goes into more detail. It's been reported that after 2 years of adventuring in time and space, Ncuti Gatwa was set to hand in his TARDIS key. The claims come after months of intense speculation from fans about Doctor Who's future, following what has been seen by some as a difficult period for the beloved show. Disappointing viewing figures and muted viewer response are rumoured to have left the BBC, recent investors, Disney, and Ncuti himself questioning what's next for the Time Lord. Now the Sun has reported that Ncuti has been axed from the long-running sci-fi series, following a spat with BBC bosses over him dropping out of Eurovision presenting duties. I already said why that's bollocks, probably, because frankly, if Ncuti has decided to leave, that will have been spoken about months ahead of time. It's not like they could film a regeneration in 2 weeks. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So that would be bollocks. However, a BBC spokesperson has confirmed to Metro that the reports are not true. They said, quote, "While we never comment on the future of the Doctor, any suggestion that Ncuti Gatwa has been axed is pure fiction." And then they basically just go on to talk about the speculation that we've already spoken about ad nauseum at this point. So what's interesting about this is that this is the first time I believe the BBC have said something outright. Normally, they don't comment on these sorts of rumours. They kind of just let them sit there. This is the first time that they've come out and said, you know, this is not true. To be clear, this is not necessarily proof that Ncuti Gatwa isn't leaving, but it is an indication that if he does leave, it wasn't because he was axed. Which is basically what I was saying in the previous video. Chances are, if he does leave, it will have been arranged long before. And what's funny as well, as people pointed out, in the Sun's article, they say that he left due to Eurovision, but the same author wrote an article about Ncuti leaving back in, like, January. So which is it? Did he leave months ago, or did he just leave because of Eurovision? That's why I don't trust things like the Sun. And that's not me saying that, you know, this will give the full story either. I'm sure the BBC know things that they're not kind of letting in on right now, but I'm more inclined to believe the idea that I doubt he was fired over Eurovision. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Again, that's not proof that he isn't leaving, and I would be sad if he does, but I just don't see that being the reason. In other, more positive news though, we got some more images from Wishworld. Obviously the first one is the Doctor falling on that balcony, the second is Belinda with Poppy, the third is a new picture of Ruby in a new costume, the fourth is we've got Conrad in the Bone Palace, and then we've got the same image of the two Ranis that we've seen before, a new image of Susan Triad, kind of a big computer there, and also Ruth with a kind of joystick thing as well. And the Bone Beast itself, which I gotta say, the Bone Beast look really cool. I think the Bone Beasts are a really cool visual. Also nice, obviously, seeing Ruth Manley back in unit after being kind of forced out of it in Wishworld. I am curious, though, why the only image we've seen of the Doctor in this week's episode is him falling from the balcony at the end, which we've all already seen. It indicates to me that something could happen to the Doctor that they don't want to reveal yet, or that maybe the first sort of 10 or 20 minutes of the episode are basically unit trying to figure out how to, like, fend off this invasion of the two Ranis with the Bone Beast without the Doctor. We also got this quote from Russell T Davies' Instagram where he shows himself off at the Bone Palace, which, by the way, I just gotta say, I love this set. I love the giant clock, I love the huge seal of Rassilon, I love the red flooring, I love the walls. I think it's a really cool set. The Bone Palace, Le Palais dos Palazzo de Ossa, coming this week in the Reality War. Why that clock? Why the seal of Rassilon? What are the Bone Beasts for? Saturday, 6:50 PM on BBC One and Disney Plus worldwide. So interestingly, he says, why the clock? Why the seal of Rassilon? And what are the Bone Beasts for? So I'm glad that the Bone Beasts are getting an explanation, because I was curious as to, like, why the Bone Beasts exist. Like, obviously they're a cool visual, but what purpose do they actually serve in the Rani's plan? So I'm glad that that's getting expanded upon. Why the seal of Rassilon is interesting. Originally, I kind of just assumed that was where they were, like, sealing away Omega. That's, like, their entryway to Omega. Although potentially, it could be where they plan to house, like, this new Gallifrey. Like, they open the door and it opens up to a portal to a new planet that they intend to basically create Gallifrey out of, potentially. And why the clock, I have no idea. Obviously, we know that the Vindicator is on it. And we also see in the trailer it seemingly charging up the Seal of Rassilon door, which is why I assume that clock uses, like, kind of time energy. Very interesting, though. There's a lot to wrap up, and I am still nervous, but I am very interested to see how this all ties together. I also did thank Russell for the cameo in the comments of his Instagram post, and he did say, "It's our great delight," so that was really nice. So, yeah, very, very cool. Still can't get over the fact that that happened, to be honest. But that's about all we have time for. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.